Hey everyone, Generation Y Conservative here, and tonight we're doing a movie review on the movie It.
Alright, we're going in to see the It movie.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be, I'm excited. I'm a fan of the original, so we'll see you after the movie then.
Bill, if you'll come with me, you'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too.
Hell no! Say no!
It's not that bad.
So tonight I was joined by my friends Mike and Brant here. You may recognize them from the Generation Y Conservative podcast. They joined me because everyone else was chicken and didn't want to come out and actually see the movie. And I'm starting to figure out why that was. So we just want to get right into it and talk about the movie and what we thought. We'll get to some, probably we'll talk about some spoilers, and I'll also talk about a little bit of my experience with some of the past stuff. I've only seen the miniseries. Just so you guys know, Mike and Brant have absolutely no experience with It, the novel, or the miniseries back in the 90s. So they are completely fresh to the whole idea of the movie or anything with Stephen King related to the movie It. So we're going to get into that a little bit later too. So Mike, let's talk about the characters first, okay? So what did you think? I think we're just going to lump them all together.
The kids?
Yeah, the kids, the Loser Club.
Yep.
So what did you happen to think about the Loser Club and their chemistry on scene?
They were fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't expecting the movie to be that funny.
Right.
I mean, they reminded me of me and my friends when I was a kid, you know?
Yes.
It also seems like, not just this movie, but other movies that have come out too, it's like, just makes you think more and more about how probably the most unpopular kids in school were actually the coolest kids in school. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you think more about the cool kids in school and realize how uncool they were.
Yeah.
And that's all just being like reiterated in a lot of movies that are coming out now, but in particular this one. But
Yeah,
they were so funny, it was great.
Where's the poison ivy? Nowhere. Okay, well, I'm starting to get itchy. I'm pretty sure this is not
Do you
good
use
for
the
my-
same bathroom as your mother?
Sometimes, yeah.
Then you probably have crabs.
That's so not funny.
Aren't you guys coming in?
It's gray water.
What the hell's gray water?
It's basically piss and shit. So I'm just telling you, you guys are splashed around in millions of gallons of dairy pee. So, are you serious?
Doesn't smell like caca to me, senor.
Have you ever heard of a staph infection?
Also, your
This
staph
is
infection.
so unsanitary. This is literally like swimming inside of a toilet bowl right now.
I think he's spot on right there with the nostalgia of the 80s. Like, it's really actually making a comeback for like making movies and TV shows and everything. Brant, I know I talked to you in the theater. You haven't seen, or you started to watch the Stranger Things series and everything.
Just like the first episode, and
Right.
It's
I was
great.
having a little trouble with it. I keep hearing good things. Maybe I.
But the one kid is the actor that's one of the main characters from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a callback to, we really all felt the time period of this movie and everything. And you and I have seen Stranger Things.
Yep.
That's like why the show is so great.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you think about the chemistry on scene with the kids?
They did. I mean, it was perfect.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't feel like they were trying too hard or child actors that were, you know. I mean, it's easy to get lost in a movie like that when the actors are doing that well.
Yep.
Yep.
I think it's important for a horror flick like that, really, if you wanted to deliver.
Absolutely. So my thoughts on the Losers Club was, you know, I've been following this movie production-wise for 2 years now. I actually know that the original actor who was supposed to play Pennywise was Will Poulter, or whatever his name is. He was in the Maze Runner and some other stuff. And they said he did fantastic as Pennywise too. But Bill Skarsgard, who played Pennywise, we'll get to him and we'll talk about his acting. But what was neat is, what I read about this movie is that the kids actually hung out for a long time prior to the shooting of the movie to get a sense with each other, and it comes off on screen. Like it feels forced with a lot of movies where
Yeah.
people like have to know each other, but these kids feel like they have known each other all summer long and are really coming together for it.
It's like the kids on Stranger Things too.
Oh, exactly. Yeah,
Like they just have that, like, it seems like they're best friends in real life, you know? So
Even when they're mad at each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So let's go to. I want to save him as a character for the next one, but how about the supporting characters of like the town folk and everything?
Yeah, they were just as creepy a part of the movie as anything else. The pharmacist, like what? Yeah, that was just.
That was weird.
That was weird as hell.
What about the lady that was hanging over the banister, literally looking at the pile of blood in the...
Well, I think that she's the one that actually probably ended up reporting it, and that's where the scene was that they accounted for. But yeah,
But you can definitely tell everybody knows something's going on.
Exactly.
They're not talking about it. They know, especially the older people, they know something comes along every once in a while, and they just
gonna go away. Just ignore it.
I think that's why Eddie's mom faked his diseases or medical issues.
That's true. Yeah, I never even think of that.
So that he wouldn't be going outside and out of her sight so much.
Yeah,
I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, actually,
I just thought she was a creepy mom.
Well, she was.
Yeah.
But quickly, actually about the loser club and everything is that they were hilarious in their banter and everything.
Yeah.
And it was just fantastic. But yeah, anything more to say on the townsfolk and all there?
No, I mean the pharmacist was borderline uncomfortable, but I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
But one thing, if we're going by the logic that they all kind of know something's coming along and to ignore it, how crappy was the librarian?
Yeah.
Telling the kid, you should be outside.
Yeah.
Get out there.
So we'll get into more spoiler stuff in a little bit.
Now,
okay, so go ahead.
One thing, maybe you have a little more insight into this. Why is it that, it seems like something that both the kids and the adults and everybody's kind of in on, everybody knows about it. There's no so why could the father not see the blood?
He couldn't. He didn't understand what was going on, at least in the 90s miniseries. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this before. You guys haven't seen anything. I did not read the book, and I am looking forward to reading it. I'm actually borrowing it from someone. But in the 90s miniseries, it was the same thing. Like, there's actually a scene where he's, like, rubbing his hands on the sink and getting blood everywhere on himself, and he touches Beverly, and she gets the blood on her face. Like... I'm getting into spoiler territory there, but it's nothing like in this movie, which is just overkill. Yeah, right. So let's go to Pennywise. What did you think of his acting as the clown?
It was awesome. I mean, it was so very nuanced, like just how he spoke in the different tones of what he was trying to say, or when he got into like scary mode, or when he got into like luring you in kind of mode.
Yep.
And the drool, that was off-putting.
Yeah, I'm never gonna sleep again.
Yeah. Go ahead. So what?
Ever.
Anything on him at all?
Everything you're afraid he's going to be, that is the reason you're not going to see the movie, is exactly what he is.
Yeah. If you don't want to see the movie because you think it's going to be scary, you probably shouldn't see the movie because it's scary. So I told you guys I knew who the original actor was, and perfect pick. On this one, Bill Skarsgard did a fantastic job. I think you and I were watching or talking about an internet clip of him method acting. With him actually throwing the kid up against the cabinet, and he felt like he was hurting the kid, but he kept on going with the scene. Yeah. And then after the scene, he's like, "Are you okay?" And the kid's like, "You're doing awesome, great job. I love what you're doing with the character." And everything.
They also intentionally kept him and the kids separate until they shot their first scene, which was the one in the projector room. It was in the trailer.
Oh, that was the first scene?
That was the first scene that they shot together.
Oh my gosh.
And that was was the first time the kids saw him in full makeup to get like as visceral a reaction, and they all said it worked, and it definitely came off.
That was actually probably the scariest scene to me.
Yeah, that was
the projectors.
And the projectors got in the garage.
Yeah. Because I didn't see what came after.
Right?
No. We'll get to that then.
Yeah, I remember the projectors in the trailers.
Yeah, it only went so far in the trailer.
Yeah.
It didn't actually. Yeah. So we'll get to that. One thing I did want to bring up before we go into the spoiler zone is that the cinematography. I don't feel like they put as much effort as they did in this movie into other horror movies, right? It's always dark and gloomy, and that's not what they did with this.
No,
there were certainly dark and gloomy scenes, but there was also like aerial shots of sweeping and like just really beautiful cinematography. Actually, they caught attention to detail. Like I noticed, like right off the bat in the initial opening scene where Bill is, and this isn't that much of a spoiler, but he's making the boat, right? Yeah. And he's tearing the paper out of the notebook.
Oh,
and it's a close up of the spiral.
Yeah.
And it's just like the slow breaking, as it's going off.
Yep.
And that takes master cinematographers to capture the small details.
Yeah, to even conceive to use that as a shot, you know.
They have to care a little bit about the art and not just about the CGI and the, and the.
Yep.
So
one side character we didn't mention was the Bowers kid, Mullet. The Mullet, and his
acting
deal
was really good.
Yeah, he was just like kind of like the secondary villain of the movie, and also you kind of also get the sense of why he's messed up from his dad. Yep. But it almost seemed like it was his dad, but also Pennywise was kind of like twisting him more and more too.
And we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Bring that up in the spoiler zone. I can actually explain why he was used.
Okay. That's what I was trying. He just kind of seemed like out of everything in the movie that seemed so cohesive and not pre-planned. That's the one part of the movie I felt was more like he felt more like an afterthought, almost. The way it wasn't
though. And maybe once I explain why he was played out that way. So quickly before we go into the spoiler zone, on a scale. First of all, do you like horror films?
Yeah.
Do you like horror films?
Yeah.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10 in the horror genre, where do you feel this falls?
It was really good, and I feel like getting a good score in horror is saying something because a lot of horror is really cheesy and stuff. Yeah. I would say like 8.5, 9.
Okay. Are you a fan of Stephen King and like any movies or anything else that's come out for him? On a scale, in regards to all of his work, where do you place this in his work as far as what people have brought to life from his novels?
So probably around the same, 8.5, 9. Okay. It was really, really good.
Okay,
solid 9.
Yeah.
On the horror scale.
Yeah, on a horror.
How about in regards to Stephen King stuff?
Well, I mean, even some of the older stuff that was done well was still pretty cheesy because of the effects and the ability of the time. So I'm going to place it above all that just on entertainment value. And
I think I agree with you guys. I'm at an 8.5, 9. But honestly, I can't tell you reasons how they could have made this better.
Yeah.
So that's saying something too. Like I don't know. I feel bad maybe giving it a perfect score because you're like everything can improve, but I don't know what can improve. Now on a scale of the Stephen King scale and everything, like I grew up with Misery, The Shining, and other things. I know that his one novel's coming to Netflix like next month or something like that. Something's Game.
Yeah, he banned.
Oh yeah, Gerald's Game.
Gerald's Game.
Well, I saw the trailer for that.
So I'm looking.
But he was also Shawshank was him too, right?
Yeah.
So to me, that's the 10.
Okay, all right.
Shawshank is the 10.
Good point.
Know? So
Misery was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is.
But I think Brant makes a great point, which is we grew up on this stuff, and the effects, the cinematography, the cameras with like the high definition and everything just wasn't there when we were kids.
Yeah.
So they could have done an even better job. I mean, we're talking about Jack Nicholson and what was her name in Misery?
Bates.
Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates.
Yep.
Come on, with the proper stuff. Their acting.
She can still pull that part up.
Yes,
today.
Remake it and recast.
Kathy Bates and Khan. What was his name?
Michael.
I know Scott Khan is his son. But James Caan.
James Caan. Yeah. He was. Yeah. So, listen, if you haven't seen the movie yet, before you watch the spoiler zone coming up next, it's highly recommended from all of us. Obviously, I would say anything over a 7 would be highly recommended. I don't even need to go. You don't even need to go around the vehicle to find out if everybody thinks that you should go see it. Go see it. If you are a fan of horror movies, this should be at the top of your list this summer. It's already breaking records, I think, for like a great box office for a summer hit, as well as just, I'm sure in regards to the horror genre, is probably breaking records as well. So go see it. If you have seen it already, stick around for the spoiler zone coming up right now. What the hell is that? In regards to the movie itself, what were your favorite parts? What really stood out to you?
So we kind of touched on the projector scene. That was unreal. You know, just the slow buildup. Yes. And also that was a scene when it started. I didn't think that like anything was going to start happening with the projector. Just kind of snuck up on you.
Oh. So see, I was waiting for it. I was as soon as that projector's on screen, gonna go down.
Yeah, just everything. The sound, you know, of it going is just all creepy.
It's all connected by the sewers. That's where it lives. What happened?
Anything with this wasn't scary stuff, but the stuff with the kids.
The leper.
Richie, was that the one with the glasses?
Yes.
That kid was hilarious.
Yeah.
He's the actor from Stranger Things. Yeah. Man, everything he said, all his jokes about their moms and everything, like
he was a typical young male that is definitely a virgin, but acts like he's not, and cracks jokks about.
But they were good jokes.
Do you have to be a virgin to see this?
Yeah,
because I don't see any of it. Is that why I'm not seeing it?
That's so great. You know? What was something about the list of something? It must be as long as my. And they want kids like, well, that's why it explains why it's
so short. Oh, when he went in with the kids, he's like, how did I draw the shortest straw? You're like, you're not measuring, you know. But he was hilarious. So anything with him was good. And just a lot of this stuff with Pennywise was just awesome. You know how they changed him, the special effects, you know, so it's good.
When they started getting into each individual fear, that painting,
that was messed up.
That was real messed up. And then the basement scene.
Yes.
You
kind of leaned over, you're like, F this.
Nope.
Bill, if you'll come with me, you'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too.
Using Georgie as a puppet.
Yes. Yeah. They
slammed him into the water.
Yeah, that's God. Right. Anything else that you really liked about it?
Those are my. Those are my favorite parts. I mean, scary parts anyway. When they were going in and they, I really enjoyed the part of the movie where they found the mouth of the, where they were in the creek, when they first met the kid that was running away, and they came in and found the sneaker, and that's when that's where they started kind of letting you know this is
it's in the sewers.
I like the part of how the movie kind of seems to there's defining moments where you can see that the movie is lunging forward, and then there'll be a little bit of play and then something else will happen and you can tell, you can kind of almost sense.
It's never the type of movie where you're bored with the scenes.
No, not at all.
I mean, there's a lot of build up with the storyline that a lot of people would consider boring, but I don't think they ever went into that zone of like, oh, come on already with the action. Like you're vested into these characters.
I thought the pacing was really good, and even starting out with the Georgie scene and meeting Pennywise right up front at the beginning, and even seeing his mouth open up. So they're kind of giving you a lot of that stuff right away.
The arm off the bat.
Oh, jeez. Okay, wait. Okay, so I gotta tell you something. Okay, we're in the spoiler zone, so I can cut through it. The '90s miniseries. Okay, so I mentioned to you guys that was made for TV, so they couldn't include a lot of stuff into that. And again, I haven't read the book. The book is even more messed up apparently. But in the 90s movie scene, what they show is, and I'll probably put a clip right in here of what I'm talking about, but Georgie reaches in for his boat, right? And you see Tim Curry open up his mouth, and he has small, like, sharp teeth, but it's just one row. He's not like sharking it out or anything. And you just see him like open his mouth, and the camera zooms in on him, but there's no bite. And then it cuts to a funeral scene for Georgie, right? This crap was insane in that scene. Like he just opens up rows of sharp teeth, and like his face grew, and then just chomps down his freaking arm, and the kid's limping away on the street with this stump, and it's just blood everywhere, and this little what was he 5?
Not even.
And he's like limping and in the water, and you're like, what the hell is going on in here?
And then you get the overhead shot, and you see the arm come out like real long and grab his foot, and then just pull him right in the sewer grate.
So now we're in the spoiler zone. Okay, we all love the projector scene. In the preview, they make it seem like the projector's going and going and going. They kick over the projector, and then it's like over. they all turn. And he comes out of the wall and grabs Beverly by the throat. But that's a later scene. Because what actually happens is a massive Pennywise, the size of the freaking garage, comes out of the wall and starts like crawling through the garage at him. And you're like, what?
No, I'm out. I'm out.
It was insane.
One scene that I loved with Pennywise like appearing, and I thought it was just shot so cool, was in the house. I think it was Eddie after he falls and breaks his arm, and then the refrigerator opens and he's all contorted in there.
My gosh.
And just how he comes out and his arm flips and his body spins and his everything it was like a transformer.
It was like a rubber, like a Stretch Armstrong. If we're talking about
twisted,
the 80s,
all twisted.
If you just let him out and he just kind of like unwrapped slowly.
I gotta ask,
weird.
That was
you,
great.
Chris. Now you were making little comments here and there. And you said that the original one didn't have the mouth that opened that wide, one row of teeth. But you seem to know what those lights were.
The dead lights. Okay, so there were a couple.
Is that from the series or the book that you know that?
From the series. I haven't read the book. So in regards to when Pennywise opened his mouth because Beverly didn't fear him, she was looking at 3 lights in his throat, and they're called the dead lights. And if you look at the dead lights, you're paralyzed.
Okay.
Like you can't do anything. And that will play a bigger role in the second movie, I believe, because it wasn't actually a big role in the kids' flashbacks in the '90s series, which went back and forth between the adults and the kids. But it paralyzes you. It's all. To be honest with you, I think it's a great symbolic or metaphorical thing for taking a look at like those predator fish with the bulb hanging down, and it lures fish in because they're kind of like hypnotized by it, and then they have those teeth too.
Almost talking like Pennywise is some sort of evolved.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, I want to, while we're talking about that and the luring and the fear and everything, I want to go back to what was it that we were talking about with the that I had to go back to
the kid,
Bowers. So the bully. Okay, so by this time in the movie, when Pennywise finally sends the gift of his knife back to him and tells him to kill them all, the bully kid and everything, what we're seeing there is Pennywise manipulating this kid because they no longer fear him, right? And he needs them to be scared in order to feast off of them. So if they're not scared of him, they have to be scared of something that's real. Right, and that kid is real, and they have feared him since before meeting Pennywise.
Oh, I see.
Right,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, now, the interesting thing is, and I don't want to ruin the '90s thing for you, but he shouldn't be dead, according to the '90s.
Bully?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't see it. He fell down the well. I mean, you'd think he'd be dead, but we didn't see him die. So
yeah, and he actually. Or maybe he is, because he's used by Pennywise in the '90s miniseries too, but as an adult. So maybe they just got it done with early, and that's the way the book was. I don't know. I still need to read the book. But yeah, so we're talking about the contorting of him coming out. Just that scene alone.
That was
you
awesome.
and I mean, we all kind of jumped when you're looking at Eddie and his freaking arm is broken and hanging there.
Yeah.
And then one of the other kids tries to like snap it back into place.
Don't you touch
my
me!
God.
Don't you ever touch me!
The sound effects on that
So
were
bad.
Yeah.
It was so bad. But yeah, I'm trying to think like.
Is there any in the miniseries? Was there any kind of explanation behind the whole 27, 29 years thing, or is that just a?
No, it's
part of the
feeding
story.
period. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. So in the miniseries, down in the sewers, the only thing that's down there is webs. Okay, and I won't explain why, but the people that he collects or kids are wrapped up in cocoons or like a spider does. Right?
Yeah.
Wraps up his prey, and they're kind of hanging from the ceiling by webs, right?
Yep.
And that's all it really is. Now, in the book, apparently, they exaggerated this mountain of toys and everything that he's collected, and it was a spectacle in the sewer scene in this movie, right?
Yeah, yeah.
With all the stuff that he's collected just piled up, and you can see decades upon decades, or centuries even, of this creature collecting, right, and feasting on people. And not only that, above in the air, they're all floating. Floating.
Well,
they all float
too.
down here.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So, but they're floating around this massive mound of toys and stuff, and you're like, what did that remind you of? Because I have something right in my head as soon as I saw it going.
You know that ride where you're all hanging from like chains at Dorney Park and it swings around? That's
The swings?
The
Actual swings?
Yeah.
I was actually thinking like a circus carousel.
Or
like a baby carousel that
There's
mobile, yeah. And it goes around. I'm like, that is creepy as hell, because that's like that, because you're looking up at it and it's almost like a baby looking up at the mobile or whatever it is. And it was creepy. That was creepy as all hell.
Yeah, and you're right, how he kept telling people throughout the movie, you'll float too. You'll float too.
See, now I always thought that they were referring to back
in
to
the water,
the boat and the balloons floating and everything, because in the miniseries, like I said, they were up in webs and everything. So that actually came together just now. Obviously,
did they use the "you'll float too" thing in the miniseries?
Yes.
Oh.
They kept on saying that and everything. So, anything else to add before we end this?
Go see it.
Definitely worth going to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the theater.
We have some more movies reviews coming up before the end of the year. There's definitely some things I want to see. I don't know if we are going to do a review on them. I definitely want to do a review on American Assassin. But we'll definitely be doing reviews on Thor Ragnarok, the new Star Wars movie, possibly the Justice League. I don't know about that one.
Come on.
So,
I like the one actor that plays the corniest character in that movie, but the one who plays Aquaman.
Oh yeah, Jason Momoa.
A big fan.
Yeah, he's good. So
there's some hope.
Even if it's bad, that will be worth talking about.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, we seem to go see movies that we rate really high. So you know. But anyway, listen.
Let's have some faith, though.
Yeah. Keep the faith.
Come on, Batman.
If we're going,
can we talk about the little Batman Easter egg in it on the marquee? Batman 89.
Elm Street, and
that was great. The local movie theater on the marquee had Batman 89, Lethal Weapon 2, and Nightmare on Elm Street 5. Yeah, so it was nice Easter eggs. 5 at that point.
Yeah, right. Oh my word! I think did the first one come out in the 70s, or was that in our generation?
It might have been early 80s, because the movie was late 80s. They probably put one out every year.
Yeah, because it was so popular. Yeah. I mean, that and Jason and everything. Yeah. All right, listen, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Keep going back to the YouTube channel and subscribe to it. Hit the bell for notifications to let you know when I publish more videos like this or the Generation Y Conservative Podcast. In the meantime, have a great night, and God bless America. And go see the movie.